Hello, welcome back. Very important video today. We're talking about the differences, if there are any, between change, exchange, switch, swap, and trade. But the first thing I want to say is, oh my goodness me, when you guys ask me questions like that, the first thing I think about is, I am so glad. I am so relieved, so relieved that I did not learn English like that. Honestly, that I did not learn English thinking about those differences and like having to memorize the different meanings and, you know, having to think before I speak. Is this right? Is this the right meaning? Is it trade? Is it switch? Is it swap? Oh my, I don't know. It's so good, honestly, guys, to not have learned that way. And I only started to think about differences when I started teaching. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure I made and make mistakes. I am sure of that. But still, I think it's better to make mistakes every now and then, you know, every now and then means sometimes, than to be completely paranoid about differences between words, amongst words. So we're going to talk about this today because I know you guys feel that you need an explanation. So let's do this, okay? First of all, change and switch are very, very similar. When you change your mind, you have an idea about something and then you change your mind. You don't have this anymore. It's now another idea, okay? Change your mind is an expression, so you don't say switch your mind because this is an expression. I'm explaining the meaning now, okay? But in sentences like, it's a bit chilly outside. Chilly is a little bit cold. It's a bit chilly outside. I think I'm going to change my clothes. You could say, I think I'm going to switch clothes. Yeah, normally we say change clothes because we're talking about clothes, isn't it? Something you have to understand is, a lot of the time, you have the same meaning of a word, but people will use a specific word for that situation simply because it happened that way. So people are more, it feels more natural, it sounds more natural as well to use change for those things. But it's literally the same thing. So for example, if you're studying, say you're at university and you're studying business, and then after a year you decide actually you want to study engineering, so then you switch courses. It's the same as you change courses, exactly the same, okay? So you're not doing this one anymore, you're now going to do another. So change and switch working the same way. Always bear in mind that, of course, there are specific situations where change is going to sound more natural, like the ones I mentioned before, okay? Now, if you think about exchange, I love exchange. I really, really do love exchange because I find it very simple, very easy to understand. Exchange, there are three things I want you to think about, four actually, that help you remember and understand how to use exchange, okay? Number one is when you buy something from a shop, anything, you buy something, like you buy some clothes or you buy a pair of shoes or you buy something for the kitchen, okay, like a kitchen appliance or something, and you want to go to the shop and you want to exchange what you bought for something else. So you would go to the shop and you would say, hi there, I'd just like to exchange this item, please. So that means you're going to give back the item that you bought and the shop is going to give you another one. It's going to give you maybe a different color or a different size. You see what I mean? So exchange is about give and take. So you give the item and you receive another. So you are exchanging something, which is the same idea for when you talk about money. If you travel to a different country, you're going to have to exchange money because the currency we use in England is not the same as the one we use in Brazil. In Brazil, we use Brazilian real, and in England, we use British pounds. So you have to exchange money because you give your Brazilian real and you receive British pounds. You see what's happening here? The other idea about this is about ideas. When you sit down to talk to someone about a project about a plan, and you give your ideas and they give you their ideas. You are exchanging ideas. And also the same thing when you talk about gifts, when you talk about presents. At Christmas, generally speaking, we exchange presents with those we love. So I'll give you a present and you're most likely going to give me a present in return. So you see, exchange always has this idea of give and take. You know, that's what I think about when I think of exchange, okay? And now when we talk about trade and swap, they have the same meanings, just kind of the same thing as when we talk about change and switch. We talk about swap and trade, okay? The only difference between swap and trade really is that swap is more informal. So if you're having a business meeting, for example, you're most likely going to say trade. Trade is actually a word that is very used in the business world for other things, but it makes sense in the situation. You understand that it's about you give me one and I'll give you the other one in return. It's similar to exchange, similar, but it's not quite the same, okay? So imagine the situation, okay? You go to a restaurant and you order something for the first time, and your friend orders something else for the first time, and when the food comes, you actually like your friend's dish better than yours, and the same happens with your friend. So what you do is you swap. See, so I'll give you mine and you give me yours. So this is, see how it's different to exchange. It's more like between people, you know, literally, I don't like mine, I like yours, and vice versa, we'll swap. And it's the same thing as we'll trade, okay? So you would say something like, wanna swap? Wanna swap? It's, do you want to swap? In very informal, everyday English, we say, wanna swap? And it's the same as wanna trade, okay? So always bear in mind, swap and trade in terms of meaning is the same meaning. Change and switch in terms of meaning is the same. Exchange is like the different one, the one that has specific, like a specific use for that word, which is important to know because we use that in lots of moments and situations, especially when we go shopping. That's the one that sounds the most natural to me anyway. There will be moments, which is important to mention, that swap is going to have the same meaning and the same use as exchange, okay? So for example, if you meet someone and they give you their number, phone number, and you give them your number, you could say we swapped numbers or we exchanged numbers as well. So there will be situations where exchange works just the same as swap, but they are not the same. You could as well go to a shop and say, hi there, I bought this shirt, but it's a bit big. Would it be okay to swap? Like, it's okay, it's not bad. It could work. Potentially. So this is what I mean about learning in a more kind of natural way. If I went to a shop, I would say exchange because I learned it like that and it sounds really natural and really good. But if somebody said to me, if I worked, which I did, if I worked in a shop and they said, can I swap this for something else? I would be like, yeah, sure. Like, it sounds natural as well. One thing that I want to say is, as someone who learned English, like you guys are learning English now, a lot of the time you will choose specific words to use that you know are right, so it's safe, and that you feel comfortable using as well, which is what I did and do. And there will be lots of other ways to say the same thing that you might not be using yourself, but you still understand when people use it, and that's fine. I think this is one of the biggest differences between our first language, our native language, and English as a second or third language, which is that with our language, we tend to feel like we can play around so much more in a very safe way, whereas in English, we tend to stick to things that are safe, and I don't see a problem with that. I think safe is brilliant. I like to play safe myself and slowly kind of build it up naturally as opposed to having this list and memorizing. So try to, now that you know the difference, but when you're watching stuff in English and when you're paying attention if you live abroad, try to understand why people are using one or the other, and that's going to help you use those words in a much more natural way. Thank you for being here today. I'll see you all next time. Thanks.